You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Oscars shake up Best Picture eligibility standards. Strict new diversity requirements take full effect in 2024. As promised, when the Academy of Motion Picture Art and Sciences announced its Academy of Aperture 2025 initiative in June, new standards of representation and inclusion have been announced by AMPAS today that will gradually be put into place for the 94th, 95th Oscars, but in full effect beginning the 96th. In this most dramatic swing toward true diversity, Oscar is laying down significant requirements in order to be eligible for Hollywood's most sought-after prize, Best Picture. Having at least one Asian, Hispanic, Latin, Black, Indigenous, Native American, Alaskan Native, Middle Eastern, North African, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander, or unspecified other underrepresented race or ethnicity as a lead or significant supporting actor is a potential requirement under the new guidelines, with those ethnicities almost mentioned for prominent production and marketing jobs. Additionally, employing women, LGBTQ members of a racial or ethnic group, and people with cognitive or physical disabilities or who are deaf or hard of hearing might be required for at least 30% of actors in secondary or more minor roles. Having a storyline centered on an underrepresented group, hiring creative leadership and department heads, maintaining at least 30% crew composition, paid internships, and representation in marketing and distribution are all potential areas in order to be a Best Picture contender. Producers don't have to meet all the requirements of the new doctrine, just half. Long relying on the industry itself to make diversity a significant part of the way they make movies. So now, what you're going to have is you're going to have production companies that are going to go out there and purposefully hire someone based on their color or their race, not based on their skill. That's what's going to happen. So that means if you're a white person with 10 years in experience of costumes, but you don't have the right gender class or you don't have the right skin color, someone with less experience who fits the category is going to get the job. That's where we're going now. This is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I probably shouldn't care so much because I don't watch the Oscars anymore. It's basically all the celebrities ass-licking each other. If you have a production company and if you have a director who feel very strongly about a story they have, and they are aware now that they have to hire a certain percentage of minority talent, what makes you think that this isn't going to happen at least once? The fact of the matter is, laying down rules forcing people to be diverse is putting them in a position to make a decision that's not coming from a place of talent or natural selection. Now, when these people are casting and when they're hiring their production team, they're going to be keeping in mind, I have to hire a Spanish person, or I have to hire a gay person, or I have to hire a Spanish black gay person. It's not how it should be. That's not how it should be. I'm sure it'll either be ironed out or dropped altogether. Yeah, I'm going to go with it's not going to be dropped and it's not going to be ironed out. And we're never really going to know, because when somebody makes a decision on who to hire, we're not in their head. We don't know what they're thinking. But the idea that you are required now to hire someone of color or someone of a certain sexual orientation just to have an opportunity to win an award is absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. People need to be hired. I mean, that's what Martin Luther King said. I mean, that is exactly what he said. He wants people to be judged by their character, not the color of their skin. Meanwhile, we are implementing rules and regulations that are doing just that, forcing people to be hired by the color of their skin or their sexual orientation. And of course, we'll never know whether they made that decision based on that because we're not in their heads. But I feel pretty safe to say that it's going to be an influence in some decision making. Just because it's one category doesn't mean it's okay. You shouldn't be hiring people based on the color of their skin or their sexual orientation. You should be hiring people based on their talent, based on their skill set, based on their experience. That's how it should be. That's how it always should be. I don't want people to hire me because, well, he's Spanish, so we need to fill the quota. That's not a good feeling. I mean, maybe, I don't know if you're white but as a minority, I'm highly offended by that. By the idea that someone's going to hire me because I fit a statistical demographic as opposed to hiring me because of my skill set. It's the most offensive thing you could ever do to somebody. It's ridiculous. It's the most offensive thing you could do to somebody a minority and someone who's not a minority. Because you're basically telling someone who's white, well, your skin color is too light, so we can't hire you. You don't fit the demographic or the quota. So basically, they want people to be hired based on race, which is just another form of racism. Yeah, bingo. It's exactly what it is. Where is this company? Where is the Academy Motion Picture Arts and Sciences? I have a feeling they're in California, which would be funny considering that California I think they just amended civil right. California. Of course. It's funny how this happened shortly after there was amendment on the Civil Rights Act of segregation in California. Basically, the reason they did that in California was because black people wanted to be able to hire only black people. That's a whole nother story, though. Yep, they did amend civil rights laws, and people cheered for that, which is insane. It's just fucking insane. People are so dumb these days. They don't realize what they're losing. Disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. Oh, they have the whole breakdown here. Standard A on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. To achieve Standard A, the film must meet one of the following criteria. A1, lead or significant supporting actors. At least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors must be from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Asian, Hispanic, Latin, Black, African American, Indigenous, Native American, and Alaskan Native, Middle Eastern, North African, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, other underrepresented race. So for your movie on the standard, on according to this, I'll pull it up so you guys can see it too. For your movie to be considered, all right, to achieve Standard A, the film must meet one of the following criteria. A1, a lead or significant supporting actor must be of minority. A2, general ensemble cast. At least 30% of all actors in secondary and more minor roles are from at least two of the following underrepresented groups: woman, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ, people with cognitive or physical disabilities who are deaf or hard of hearing. A3, main storyline and subject. The main storyline, theme, or narrative of the film is centered on an underrepresented group. So your story, if you don't meet any of these two criteria, right here, A1 or A2, then your story must be about an underrepresented group. So let's say you're doing a dramatic film about two brothers of war. Let's say it's made in, I don't know, World War One. So because your main actor and your supporting actor are probably two white men, that excludes A1. That excludes A2 unless 30% of the minor actors and characters are any of these right here. So in this case, you might meet that 30% threshold if you focus on the black people that were working in the kitchen during World War One. If you don't meet this 30%, now your main story that is World War One centered, if it doesn't have a lead character that isn't white, or if it doesn't have a lead character that isn't a woman or a minority, then, and if it doesn't have a 30% of its cast that are either women, racial, LGBTQ, or people with physical disabilities, now your World War One story that includes two men that were fighting war together, these are your two main characters, now the story must center around a woman, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ, or people with physical disabilities. You see where the problem is? You see where the issue is there? Okay, let's go to standard creative leadership. Okay, so now standard B is creative leadership and project team. To achieve standard B, the film must meet one of the criteria below. B1, creative leadership and department heads. At least two of the following creative leadership positions and department heads: casting director, cinematographer, composer, costume designer, director, editor, hairstylist, makeup artist, producer, production designer, set decorator, sound and visual effects supervisor, writer are from the following underrepresented groups: woman, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ, or people with physical disabilities. When was the last time you saw a black composer? Anyone? And please, seriously, let me know, because I don't know of any. I haven't seen a black composer. Are there any black composers out there? I guess if you want to consider RZA, I mean, he did compose the soundtrack for Kill Bill, but has he done any other movies? Yeah, I'm just using that as an example. Obviously, there are plenty of positions here that we will find minorities. So what about... Okay, wait, there's more. At least one of those positions must belong to the following underrepresented racial or ethnic group: Asian, Hispanic, Latin, so on and so forth. So two creative leadership positions must meet this criteria here. And at least one of those positions must belong to one of the ethnicities here. White people in Hollywood are going to lose a lot of work. Other key roles, B2. At least 6 other crew or team and technical positions, excluding production assistants, are from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. These positions include, but are not limited to, first aid or ad, gaffer, script supervisor. At least, so 6 roles have to go to them. Overall crew composition must be 30% of the film's crew is from the following underrepresented group: woman, racial, ethnic background, LGBTQ. So 30% of your crew and 30% of your actors must be from anything that's not white or man, because they want women. So if you're a white man, you're not getting work in any movie that has the potential to win Best Picture. Standard C, industry access and opportunities. To achieve Standard C, the film must be both criteria below. C1, paid apprenticeship and internship opportunities. Paid apprenticeship and internship opportunities. The film's distribution or financing company has paid apprenticeships or internships that are from the following underrepresented groups and satisfy the criteria below: woman, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ, people with physical disabilities. So if you're a talented young director, let's say D-Man. D-Man's going to filming school. His chances of landing an internship or an apprenticeship on a movie that potentially might win Picture of the Year, he's not getting it. And it's not because of his skill set, it's because he doesn't meet that criteria. That is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. This is fucking nuts. This is nuts. Well, That's where we're at now. And that's not where it's going to stop, especially in California, since they amended the civil rights, that portion of the civil rights that is against segregation. Because this is segregation, basically. It doesn't affect any of the other categories right now. That's why I'm emphasizing Best Picture only, because it's only for Best Picture. But imagine if you're, imagine not having the opportunity to work on a Best Picture film as an actor or a crew member or whatever, because you don't have the right skin color or the right sexual orientation. It's fucked up.